The quiet hum of the Galactic Council chambers faded as Ambassador Tahoe rose from his seat. The Zentari diplomat's 6 limbs moved smoothly as he approached the central platform. The gathered representatives from over 30 galactic species watched with varying degrees of interest. Some leaned forward, while others whispered to their aides. Tahoe's purple skin glistened under the soft blue lights of the chamber as he activated the holographic display. A small blue planet appeared, rotating slowly in the air. Earth. Esteemed colleagues, Tahoe began, his voice translator giving his words a metallic edge. For too long, we have watched this species with cautious tolerance. These humans have expanded beyond reasonable bounds. The assembled diplomats shifted in their seats. Earth's rapid rise had become a frequent topic in recent council sessions. 3 star systems in mere decades, Tahoe continued, pointing a limb at the display as it zoomed out to show Earth's colonial holdings. Their technology advances at rates that exceed our safety parameters. They build weapons when they should focus on peaceful development. In the observation gallery above the main floor, Commander Summi gripped the railing tightly. She wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, with silver pins marking her rank. Her face remained composed, but her knuckles turned white as she listened to the Zentari's claims. Ambassador Juwu of the Aldebaran Confederation, a tall humanoid with pale blue skin and silver hair, rose to speak. The Aldebarans had been Earth's first allies when humans ventured beyond their solar system. My friend exaggerates, Juwu said calmly. Humans have followed every guideline we established. They share their medical discoveries freely. Their agricultural techniques have helped feed millions on worlds suffering from crop failures. Murmurs of agreement came from several delegates. The Rigelian representative nodded emphatically. Tahoe's skin darkened to a deeper purple, a sign of anger among Zentari. Peaceful. They sent warships to defend Rigelian colonies against our legitimate territorial claims. Those were civilian settlements, Juwu countered. Unarmed scientists and farmers. Summi closed her eyes briefly. 6 months ago, Zentari warships had attacked 3 research outposts in the disputed Rigelian sector. Earth had sent a small defense fleet to evacuate survivors and prevent further attacks. 17 human and Rigelian scientists had died before help arrived. The humans interfere where they have no right, Tahoe continued. Their ships patrol trade routes as if they built them. Their ambassadors speak of peace while their engineers build weapons. The council chairperson, an ancient being named Oroxy with skin like polished stone, raised a hand for order. We must consider the evidence before us. Ambassador Tahoe has submitted reports of human military buildups near Zentari space. Summi tapped a quick message on her wrist device. The documents Tahoe had provided were manipulated. She had seen the real data. The ships were standard patrol vessels, not the battle cruisers Tahoe claimed. I propose immediate sanctions, Tahoe said. Restrictions on human expansion, technology development, and military construction. For the safety of all council species. The chamber buzzed with voices. Some council members had long worried about Earth's rapid growth. Others saw humans as valuable trading partners. We should vote, Oroxy announced. This matter has been debated for too long. Summi watched as the voting commenced. The Aldebarans voted against sanctions, as did the Rigelians and 2 other species. But 7 races, led by the Zentari, voted in favor. The measure passes, Oroxy declared. Sanctions will take effect immediately. Human ships will be restricted to current territories. Technology transfers will require council approval. The chamber filled with noise as delegates discussed the implications. Tahoe's 4 eyes found Summi in the observation gallery. The Zentari diplomat made a small gesture, a sign of triumph in his culture. Summi turned away, her face carefully blank. She had known this outcome was likely. The Zentari had been building support for months, spreading misinformation about Earth's intentions. She slipped out of the chamber and found a quiet alcove. From her pocket, she removed a small communication device, one that used Earth's quantum network rather than standard council channels. Her fingers hesitated over the device. Once she sent this message, events would be set in motion that could not be reversed. For a moment, she wondered if there was another way. Then she remembered the destroyed outposts, the families who had lost loved ones to Zentari aggression. The intercepted communications suggesting this was just the first step in a larger plan against Earth. Sumi typed a short message, "Intentions hostile. Recommend Protocol Lazarus." She pressed send and watched as the device confirmed delivery to Earth Central Command. The message would reach Earth in minutes, bypassing the Council's communication systems. Sumni put away the device and straightened her uniform. Her training had prepared her for this moment, but she still felt the weight of her action. Protocol Lazarus was not just a defensive measure, it would reveal Earth's greatest secret. She walked toward the transport bay where her shuttle waited. Behind her, the Council continued its meeting, unaware that their vote had just triggered a response they could not imagine. As her shuttle departed the Council station, Sumni looked back at the massive structure floating in space. For all its grandeur, the Council had just made a terrible mistake. They believed they were dealing with a young, inexperienced species. They would soon learn how wrong they were. 8 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, hidden under the Marianas Trench, a facility existed that only 12 living humans knew about. Its walls, made of materials not yet rediscovered by modern science, had withstood centuries of crushing pressure. No sensors could detect it. No maps showed it. Even Earth's own government officials believed the location was simply a research station monitoring deep-sea volcanic activity. Director Minho sat at the main control center, his weathered face lit by screens that hadn't been active in over 300 years. He read Sumni's message again, the words glowing against the dark background. "Intentions hostile. Recommend Protocol Lazarus. Play the full transmission," he ordered. The wall screen activated, showing Commander Summi's face. She looked tired but resolute as she detailed the Galactic Council meeting, the false evidence presented by the Zentari, and the sanctions vote. "They're moving pieces into position," she concluded. "Intelligence suggests the Zentari fleet is already mobilizing. The sanctions give them legal justification to enforce compliance through military means." When the recording ended, the room fell silent. 5 other people sat around the circular table, Earth's highest military commanders, secretly chosen for a purpose they had trained for their entire lives, but hoped never to fulfill. Admiral Doyen, his gray hair cut short against his scalp, spoke first. "We've tracked Zentari probe ships testing our defense grids for months. They've mapped our response times, our weapon capabilities." "Could this be a misunderstanding?" asked General Jisu, the youngest of the group. "Diplomatic solutions were exhausted weeks ago," interrupted Admiral Yuna, sliding a tablet across the table. The Zentari ambassador rejected 3 separate peace proposals. Meanwhile, they've moved 27 warships to positions just outside our system. Director Minho stood and walked to the center of the room. For 30 years, he had served as the keeper of Earth's greatest secret. Now, the moment he had been prepared for had arrived. "The Zentari believe they're dealing with a developing spacefaring race," he said quietly. "They've calculated they can overwhelm our defensive fleet with minimal losses. What they don't understand is that humans have been to the stars before." He pressed his palm against a scanner hidden in the table's surface. The floor hummed as ancient machinery stirred to life. Dust fell from corners of the room as systems dormant for centuries activated. "Are we certain?" Minho asked, looking at each face around the table. "Once initiated, there's no going back. Earth will change forever." Admiral Doyen nodded grimly. "Our conventional forces can't match theirs. The Zentari have ships that can destroy entire continents. They won't hesitate to make an example of us." One by one, each commander gave their assent. Minho took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "Computer, initiate Protocol Lazarus. Authorization Minho, Alpha 79 Omega." A soft female voice responded, speaking a language only the 6 people in the room had been trained to understand. the ancient tongue of Earth's first stellar empire. The facility shuddered. Deep beneath them, fusion reactors that had slumbered for centuries roared to life. Throughout the room, screens lit up showing similar facilities activating around the world. Chief Engineer Junho rushed in, his eyes wide with excitement. It's working. All systems responding. The preservation protocols held. On the main screen, a map of Earth appeared. Red dots lit up in oceans around the world. The Atlantic, the Indian, the Arctic. More appeared on Luna and Mars. Then throughout the solar system, buried in asteroids and moons, ancient outposts began broadcasting confirmation signals. How long? Minho asked. 48 hours until the first elements are operational, Junho replied, checking readings. The full fleet within 1 week. The room trembled again as the machinery beneath them accelerated its awakening. Minho steadied himself against the table. Send the activation codes to all Sentinel commanders, he ordered. Priority message to all Earth forces. Stand ready but take no aggressive action. We reveal nothing until the fleet is fully operational. Admiral Yuna opened a secure channel to Earth's conventional defense forces. They'll need to hold the line if the Zentari move before we're ready. They will, Do-Yun said. Our people have always done their duty. Minho walked to a wall that appeared solid. At his approach, it shimmered and became transparent, revealing an enormous underwater hangar. In the dim blue light, massive shapes became visible. Ships with sleek, predatory lines, unlike anything humanity currently built. Their hulls bore marks of ancient battles, scars from a war that history had forgotten. 300 years, Minho whispered. Our ancestors sealed away their mightiest weapons and chose to start again. They buried the technology that nearly destroyed them and decided humanity needed to mature before reclaiming its heritage. Behind him, monitors showed similar scenes playing out across the solar system. In the dust of Mars, mountainsides slid away to reveal hidden bays. Within the rings of Saturn, dormant stations began to glow with power. The Council believes they're dealing with a young, naive species, Minho said, watching as lights flickered to life along the ancient warships. They're about to learn how wrong they are. In that moment, as humanity's forgotten power began to stir, Director Minho felt both pride and sorrow. The decision made centuries ago, to hide their true history, to grow again slowly and wisely, had been undone by necessity. Earth would never be the same again. The 15 Zentari warships sliced through space toward the Earth system, their hulls gleaming purple-black against the stars. Each capital ship stretched nearly a kilometer in length, flanked by smaller escort vessels that darted around them like protective insects. Together, they formed the most powerful battle group the Zentari had deployed in 50 years. On the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, High Admiral Kiju stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back. His purple skin had the metallic sheen that came with age and high rank. 3 sets of eyes scanned the tactical displays showing Earth's defenses, a scattered collection of orbital platforms, and a small fleet of ships that seemed almost primitive compared to his armada. Our approach has been detected, reported his sensor officer. Earth vessels are moving to defensive positions near their moon. Kiju made a dismissive gesture with his lower right hand. As expected, their technology is barely 3rd tier. Those ships cannot stand against even one of our cruisers. The bridge crew worked efficiently around him. The Zentari military prided itself on discipline and precision. They had conquered 4 species in the past century alone, always following the same pattern: overwhelming force, quick submission, then integration into the Dominion as servant races. Communications, prepare to broadcast our terms, Kiju ordered. Standard surrender protocols. We will allow them to maintain limited autonomy if they submit immediately. The communications officer nodded, her head crest bobbing with emotion. Weapons, target their primary defense stations first, Kiju continued. Then their command centers. I want this completed within 1 planetary rotation. Across the command deck, Zentari officers prepared for what they assumed would be a simple operation. Some had fought in real battles against worthy opponents. Most had only participated in peacekeeping actions and exercises. Primitive species always fold when faced with superior force. Kiju told his gathered officers, his voice carrying the confidence of decades of military success. Prepare boarding parties for their orbital stations. We will seize their technology databases intact. The Zentari fleet continued its approach, passing the orbit of Jupiter without incident. Earth's small defense fleet remained near their homeworld, making no move to engage. This pleased Kiju. They were showing wisdom by not wasting lives in pointless resistance. As they approached Mars' orbit, his science officer suddenly stiffened, her crest flaring in surprise. "Admiral," she reported, her voice unusually tense. "Sensors are detecting unusual energy readings throughout the system." Kiju moved to her station. "Explain." "Multiple power signatures activating. Everywhere," she said, pointing to her display where red warning indicators were spreading across the map of the solar system. Inside Mars, Venus, several moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and within asteroid clusters. Before Kiju could demand more information, his tactical officer called out, "Energy spike. Massive displacement event at coordinates 42 Mark 7. The space before the Zentari fleet seemed to ripple. Where there had been empty void seconds before, a massive shape appeared. A warship unlike anything in Kiju's experience. It was at least 3 kilometers long, with a dark hull that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. Weapon ports lined its sides, each one larger than the main guns of Kiju's flagship. Then another appeared, and another. "Impossible," Kiju whispered, his crest flattening against his skull in shock. All around his fleet, space itself seemed to be giving birth to monsters. Ships emerged from hiding places within Mars, rising from the red planet's surface, like ancient beasts awakening. Others appeared from within asteroids that split open to reveal hollow centers. Some simply materialized, protected by cloaking technology far beyond Zentari capability. Within minutes, the Zentari battle group was surrounded by over 50 vessels of various sizes, all clearly built for war, all clearly more advanced than anything the Zentari had ever encountered. "Sir," his tactical officer said, voice shaking slightly, "these ships match no known configuration in our database, but their energy readings suggest they are ancient, possibly centuries old." Kiju stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans were supposed to be newcomers to space travel. Their first interstellar flight had been less than 50 years ago. Their technology was basic, their weapons simple. Yet these ships— "We are being hailed," announced the communications officer. "Broadcast on all frequencies." "Put it through," Kiju ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. A human female appeared on the main screen. She wore a uniform unlike the standard Earth military design. It was black with silver trim, bearing symbols Kiju had never seen before. Her face showed no fear, only cool determination. "Zentari fleet," she said, her voice translated perfectly into Zentari speech patterns. "This is Admiral Yunha of Earth's Sentinel Fleet. You have entered sovereign space without authorization. Power down weapons and prepare to be escorted out of the system." Kiju felt his secondary heart beginning to race. This was not possible. The reports, the intelligence, all had indicated Earth was a minor power with limited capabilities. "Who are you?" he demanded. "These ships cannot be human." Admiral Yumha's expression remained unchanged. "They have always been human, High Admiral Kiju. We simply chose not to reveal them until necessary." Around the Zentari fleet, more ships continued to appear. Some emerged from Jupiter's moons, others from Saturn's rings. A particularly massive vessel rose from Venus's cloud cover, its weapons already trained on the Zentari position. "Your fleet is outmatched 15-1, Yuna continued. "Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your engines cannot outrun our pursuers. You have one option. Stand down and leave." Kiju's strategic mind raced through possibilities. Fight. His fleet would be annihilated. Run. The human ships had already closed all escape routes. Negotiate. From what position of strength? Sir, his first officer whispered urgently. What are your orders? Kiju stared at the human admiral on the screen, seeing in her eyes the absolute certainty of someone who held all the power. Power down weapons, he ordered finally. All ships. We will comply. As the Zentari weapons systems went offline, Kiju could only wonder how the Galactic Council had been so completely deceived. Earth was not the young, developing world they had all believed. It was something far more dangerous, an ancient power that had chosen to hide its true strength until provoked. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so loud. Representatives from 37 spacefaring races shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate action against Earth. Others called for calm. A few simply watched in stunned silence. At the center of the storm stood Ambassador Sunmi of Earth. She wore a simple black uniform now, different from her usual diplomatic attire. Silver symbols decorated her collar. Symbols no council member had ever seen before today. Order. We will have order. High Chancellor Neri struck her ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times. The sound echoed through the chamber, gradually bringing silence. When the noise settled, Ambassador Tejo of the Zentari Dominion rose from his seat. His purple skin had paled to a sickly lavender. 4 of his 6 limbs trembled with rage. The humans have deceived us all, he shouted, pointing at Sunmi. They concealed military capabilities that violate every treaty and agreement of this council. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The news had spread quickly. The Zentari battle fleet, sent to enforce the council's sanctions against Earth, had been surrounded by ships of impossible size and power. Ships that had appeared from nowhere. Sunmi waited for the noise to subside again. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. We have violated nothing, she said. Earth has never claimed to be a young species to spaceflight. Tahoe's crest flared. Your first interstellar flight was documented 47 years ago. Your technology was assessed as early 3rd tier. Sunmi smiled thinly. That was our first interstellar flight of this era. We never stated it was humanity's first venture to the stars. She raised her hand, activating a holographic display in the center of the chamber. A timeline appeared, stretching back far longer than anyone expected. Humanity achieved spaceflight over 500 years ago. Sunmi explained. We expanded rapidly, perhaps too rapidly. The timeline showed Earth ships spreading across dozens of star systems, establishing colonies, building outposts. We built a vast interstellar civilization, she continued, and then nearly destroyed ourselves in a civil war that lasted decades. The hologram shifted to show battles between massive fleets, the same ships that had suddenly appeared in Earth's system days earlier. The council chamber grew eerily quiet. Representatives leaned forward, transfixed by images of a war none of them had known about, fought by ships more powerful than most of their navies combined. The victors, our ancestors, made a difficult choice, Sunmi said. They looked at what we had become, a species that built weapons capable of destroying stars, a people willing to sacrifice billions of lives for political ideologies. They chose a different path. The hologram showed the great ships being hidden, some buried beneath planetary surfaces, others concealed within hollowed-out asteroids or moons. They sealed away the war fleets, buried the technology, and rebuilt our homeworld. They chose to let humanity grow again, naturally, rediscovering space travel step by step. Representatives exchanged glances. Such a decision was unprecedented in galactic history. The knowledge of our true history was preserved only among a select few, generation after generation. Sunmi continued. The Sentinel fleet was kept in stasis, to be awakened only if humanity faced extinction. High Chancellor Neri leaned forward on her throne. The ancient Siraxian's crystalline features reflected the light from the hologram. Why maintain this deception for so long? She asked. Why not share your true nature when you rejoined galactic society? Because last time we expanded quickly, we nearly destroyed ourselves. Sumi replied. Our ancestors wanted us to mature culturally before we reclaimed our full technological heritage. The Lazarus Protocol was only to be activated if humanity faced an existential threat. She turned and looked directly at Tahoe, like the one the Zentari just provided. Tahoe's skin rippled with color. You twist the truth. We acted with council approval to limit your uncontrolled expansion. You presented false evidence, Sumi countered. Our intelligence services intercepted your military orders weeks ago. The sanctions were merely cover for your planned invasion. She touched her control pad, and a new hologram appeared. Centauri military communications detailing plans for Earth's occupation and resource extraction. The Regelian ambassador stood. Is this true, Tahoe? You plan to use council sanctions to justify conquest. Tahoe's crest flattened against his skull, a sign of defensive posture. These documents are fabricated. They carry your personal encryption key, Sumi said quietly. The same key used in all official Zentari communications with this council. Chancellor Neri raised her hand for silence. These accusations will be investigated. For now, we must address the immediate situation. She fixed her ancient eyes on Sumi. Your fleet remains deployed throughout your system. Many council members fear your intentions. Sumi nodded. I understand. The Sentinel fleet will maintain defensive positions only. We have no desire for conquest or expansion. Yet you possess military capability that dwarfs most council races combined, observed the Dravid ambassador. Power we did not want to reclaim, Sumi replied. Our ancestors hid these weapons for a reason. They represent a phase of human development we had hoped to move beyond. The hologram shifted again, showing Earth's current colonies, just 3 small star systems. For 47 years, we have built relationships based on trade and cultural exchange. We have shared medical and agricultural advances freely. We have sought friendship, not dominance. She looked around the chamber. That remains our goal. The Sentinel fleet exists to ensure our survival, not to threaten others. Chancellor Neri studied Sumi for a long moment. The Council must deliberate on this revelation. Earth's status will be reconsidered in light of this new information. As representatives began to file out, Sumi found herself face to face with Tahoe. The Zentari ambassador's voice was low, meant for her ears only. This is not over, he hissed. You have humiliated the Dominion. Sumi met his gaze steadily. We defended ourselves against aggression. Something to remember before you consider further action against Earth. As Tahoe stormed away, Sumi remained in the center of the chamber, watching the representatives depart. Earth's greatest secret was now revealed to the galaxy. What would follow? Acceptance, fear, or something else entirely remained to be seen. The Earth Embassy stood tall among the spiraling structures of Axiom, the Galactic Council's homeworld. Unlike the other embassies with their flashy designs, Earth's building was simple, strong lines of dark stone with windows that caught the light of Axiom's twin suns. Inside, Ambassador Sumi walked through the garden courtyard, where plants from Earth grew alongside alien flora. 6 months had passed since the day Earth revealed its true nature to the galaxy. 6 months of careful diplomacy, tense negotiations, and gradual acceptance. Sumi checked her appearance in a reflecting pool. Her dark uniform with silver trim, the ancient insignia of Earth's first stellar navy, had become a symbol recognized throughout the Council worlds. Some saw it with respect, others with fear. Ambassador, Chancellor Neri has arrived, her aide said with a small bow. Sumi nodded. Show her to the private meeting room. The meeting room featured a large window overlooking Axiom's capital city. Sumi found Chancellor Neri already there, the ancient Soraxian's crystalline body catching the sunlight and breaking it into rainbows across the floor. Chancellor, thank you for coming, Sumi said, bowing in the traditional Soraxian manner. Neri's crystalline form shifted slightly, her people's version of a nod. The view from here is quite magnificent, she said. One can see the council chambers, the Grand Library, and the Monument of Unity. We chose this location carefully, Sumi replied, to remind us of what we value in this community of worlds. They sat at a simple table made of earth oak. A server brought tea, a blend of earth herbs and Saraxian crystals that dissolved slowly in hot water. The Zentari delegation has formally withdrawn their protest, Neri said after tasting her tea. Ambassador Tahoe has been recalled to their homeworld. I heard he was promoted, Sumi said with a small smile. To a position far from diplomatic circles, Neri clarified. The Dominion wishes to repair relations. Sumi nodded. The Zentari had learned a harsh lesson about underestimating Earth. Their failed attempt at invasion had cost them standing among council races. Your people have shown remarkable restraint, Neri acknowledged. Many expected retaliation against the Zentari. Some even feared you might use your fleet to claim new territories. Sumi shook her head. The purpose of the Sentinel fleet was never conquest. Our ancestors sealed away those weapons because they understood their terrible power. We have no desire to repeat past mistakes. Through the window, they could see ships moving between the spaceports, vessels of dozens of different species, trading, visiting, exploring. Among them, a human ship moved with easy grace, one of their modern vessels, not the ancient warships that now guarded Earth's borders. Yet you now possess military capability that rivals the combined fleets of the council races, Neri observed. This creates concern among some members, which we've used only to defend our borders and protect our allies, Sumi pointed out. The Regillians and Proxima colonies now exist under our shield, but we've annexed no territories. This was true. When several worlds had sought Earth's protection after the Zentari incident, humans had offered defense agreements but not political control. It was a policy that had surprised many council members who expected Earth to build an empire with its reclaimed power. The data your historians have shared about your ancient civil war has been educational, Neri said. Few species have experienced such destruction and chosen to start again. We nearly destroyed ourselves, Sumi replied. Our ancestors believed the only way forward was to grow again, more slowly and wisely. Neri's crystals shifted colors, showing her thoughtful mood. The Council has ratified the new treaty. All sanctions are lifted, and Earth is granted a permanent seat on the Security Committee. She paused. There is still fear among many worlds. Understandable, Sumi replied. But perhaps now we can move forward with mutual respect rather than the condescension we previously encountered. The sun had begun to set, casting long shadows across the city. In the distance, lights began to appear in buildings and along streets. I visited your Mars colony last month, Neri said. I was struck by something I saw there. A museum that detailed Earth's forgotten history. Children were learning about both your past glory and your greatest failures. Sumi nodded. We believe understanding our history helps us avoid repeating it. The knowledge of our past is no longer restricted to a few. A wise approach, Neri agreed. Many species hide their darkest chapters. They stood and walked to the window. Below, citizens of dozens of worlds moved through the streets. Some glanced up at the Earth Embassy with curiosity or uncertainty. Our ancestors hoped we would return to the stars wiser than they left them, Sumi told Neri. The coming years will test whether they were right to have that hope. As night fell over the city, lights from countless worlds shone together. Among them, Earth's embassy glowed with steady purpose. Humanity had awakened to its heritage, reclaimed power it had once set aside, and returned to the galactic stage. The universe, once seeming so vast, had suddenly become much smaller, and in this new reality, humans would need to find their place once more, not as conquerors, not as children, but as equals with a unique perspective born from their unusual journey. Sumi watched the stars appear above the alien city and felt the weight of history, both remembered and forgotten, resting on her shoulders. The path ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in centuries, humanity was walking it with full awareness of where they had been before.